Greetings. I hope this video finds you and your family safe and healthy. It's hard to believe that summer has already reached its halfway point and school will begin in a little over a month. I wanted to share with you today the district's restart plans for the 2020-2021 school year. You see, we've been working on various plans over the last couple of months, utilizing a restart process planning committee with several subcommittees looking at all areas of operations within the school. During that time, we've been patiently waiting on official guidance from the governor, from the Ohio Department of Education, as well as the Ohio Department of Health. Last Thursday, we finally received Ohio's reopening guidelines and recommendations. We were surprised to see very few mandates, but guidelines and recommendations, and there was a tremendous emphasis placed on allowing school districts working with their local health departments to develop plans relative to their communities and their unique situations. Area superintendents and members of the Knox County Health Department met this week to review those mandates, those guidelines for restarting schools in the fall. It was a wonderful conversation, and I can't say thank you enough to my superintendent colleagues and the Knox County Health Department and Julie Miller and her staff for their guidance and support as we develop these plans. I think you'll find that in Knox County, our plans will have a lot of similarities as we've developed this together. Let's take a look at the plan, and we can share with you how Mount Vernon City Schools plans to reopen in the fall. In consultation with the Governor's Office, the Ohio Department of Education, the Ohio Department of Health, Knox Public Health, Knox County Superintendents, and the Mount Vernon City School Board of Education and Restart Committees, this PowerPoint has been created to inform parents, students, and staff, as well as community members of the Mount Vernon City School District's plan. Mount Vernon City Schools would like to present the restart plans for the 2021 school year. While we realize there are no perfect options with regards to schools reopening and COVID-19, we believe we have come up with several viable options. As many of you are aware, we've been utilizing a traffic light model that includes a 3-color coded options. The green is a traditional learning mode, with yellow being a hybrid learning mode, and red being a remote learning mode, or the option that we finished out the 2019-2020 school year. These options and the corresponding guidelines will be detailed in following slides. We will provide an online digital academy option for families who may choose to not send their students to school in the fall. We really would welcome an opportunity to share information about our Mount Vernon Digital Academy for grades K through 12 in future guidance and in this presentation. Again, I wanted to share with you the 2 options that we really have available right now. We have the traffic light model. As you can see, the green light is traditional, meaning learning occurs daily in a traditional classroom setting with face-to-face instruction. We have the ability to go yellow, which is the hybrid model, where learning occurs both in person and remotely through online remote learning. And then we have the remote learning model, where learning is provided remotely by Mount Vernon City School District teachers through online classes utilizing digital technologies. On the right of this particular slide is a digital academy model that I mentioned earlier. Parents will have an option to enroll their children in Mount Vernon City Schools District's Digital Academy. The Digital Academy is a complete online virtual curriculum facilitated by Mount Vernon City School District teachers utilizing district-approved online curriculum. Students will work daily from home. We want to take a moment now to step back and look at the traditional model, the green model. The traditional learning will occur with all students returning to school with added safety precautions. The district will work closely with recommendations and guidelines from local health officials, ODE, ODH, and the American Association of Pediatrics. We have broken these models down into several categories: social distancing, mask and face covering, health and safety, and cleaning and sanitizing, as was the governor's orders in his Thursday press conference. As we look at the green model and look at social distancing, for classrooms, students will be spaced 3 to 6 feet in diameter from other students per the American Association of Pediatric recommendations. Some of you may have heard a lot about 6 foot of social distancing and probably realize, as many districts have shared with both the governor and the Ohio Department of Education, a 6 foot diameter around students is nearly impossible to get all students back to school. The American Association of Pediatricians came out with their recommendation that was cited by the governor on several occasions in his press conference, and there was even a doctor from the American Association sharing their recommendations of 3 feet to 6 feet. We believe that we can accommodate that in our classrooms. Again, a 3 foot to 6 foot in diameter from one student to another. In the common areas, the cafeteria, lobby, and auditorium, students will maintain a 3 to 6 feet of social distancing. In the hallways, a single flow traffic pattern will be utilized with adjusted transition times between periods and bells. Transportation, regular bus schedules with students being assigned seats. Siblings will be sitting together will be a priority with a limit of 2 students per seat. Some of you may be saying, how do we keep social distancing by putting 2 students to a seat? And you would be correct. It's very, very difficult. When you transport nearly 2,000 students a day on your buses, we have to be able to put 2 students per seat to make that work. We are going to account for that social distancing in our mask and face covering sections that will be coming up in the next slide. Cafeterias will have modified operations serving all students in the cafeteria, or students may take their lunches to their classrooms. Again, social distancing will be a requirement. And finally, school schedules. Students in grades 6 through 12 will operate on a modified schedule to limit transitions. In other words, we may have students using block scheduling during the course of the week and maybe taking on 4 periods per day versus the traditional 8 periods a day, but they'll have double the amount of time on those given days. Elementary recesses will be staggered to limit the number of students on the playgrounds at any one given time. Under the area of masks or face coverings, we have heard a lot of information about masks and face coverings. There certainly are a lot of opinions relative to masks and face coverings. We've tried to take the best guidance that has been given to us by a variety of resources to come to the following recommendations. In the governor's report on Thursday, the one mandate that he did share with all districts was that staff would be required to wear masks or face coverings unless they could maintain a 6 foot of social distancing. When it becomes necessary to be closer to students than 6 feet, a mask or face covering must be worn. The district will be providing our staff with face coverings and or face shields in the coming weeks. The student section of the mask or face coverings was probably one of our more challenging sections to discuss. The governor had mentioned earlier that grades K1 and 2 would not be required to wear face masks, but he strongly encouraged grades 3, 4, and 5. In later guidance that was provided in the coming days, the governor came out with another mandate that said areas of our state, our counties that were in those more health compromised areas, face coverings shouldn't be worn with students who are 10 years or younger. A student at 10 years of age is relatively a 4th or a 5th grader. So with those recommendations in mind and just understanding the maturity of students in grades K through 5, we are recommending that students wear face masks at grades K through 5, but we are not requiring them at this time. Students in grades 6 through 12, however, we are requiring mask or face coverings when students can't maintain a social distancing of 3 to 6 feet or greater. Again, when sitting at a desk, masks may be removed, required that we can keep the social distancing necessary. Masks will be required when entering and exiting the school for students in grades 6 through 12. Masks will also be required during class transitions or grade changes for students in grades 6 through 12. I had mentioned in an earlier slide that we would address transportation, realizing that we cannot maintain social distancing, seating 2 students to a seat on our buses. Students utilizing district transportation will be required to wear a mask or a face covering for the duration of that trip. These same expectations will be required for all extracurricular trips as well. I will say that with masks or face coverings, this is guidance that can be continual and ongoing. And based upon recommendations from local health department officials, we could find ourselves changing these conditions as needed. As we go into health and safety, parents will be asked to conduct health safety checks daily before sending their students to school. Students who exhibit the following symptoms will be asked to remain at home. Temperature over 100 degrees, coughs, headaches, body aches, sore throat, etc. will be asked to stay home. We'll be sending home future educational guidance to assist parents as they have to make these decisions daily. Students may be subject to temperature checks upon entering the building. Students will wash hands and or use hand sanitizers upon entering the building and periodically throughout the day. Students will be required to wear a mask or face covering in grades 6 through 12 when the aforementioned social distancing guidelines cannot be met. Under the area of cleaning and sanitizing, buildings will have daily cleaning protocols before, during, and after school. In the classrooms, hand sanitizers will be placed at the entrance of every classroom. Students' desks and tables will be cleaned after every transition change. In the common areas, they will be cleaned throughout the day accordingly to a schedule. On the buses will be cleaned after every route in the morning and afternoon. That gives you a sense of what the traditional model would look like, getting all students back to school in a safe manner with modifications and safety precautions. In the hybrid model, the yellow model, hybrid reduces the amount of students in the building by nearly 50%. Hybrid learning occurs both in person and remotely through online remote learning. And a remaining day would be focused on interventions, social emotional wellness, instructional support, and makeup. The hybrid model is really 2 days at school, 3 days at home. Again, when you take a look at our 4 categories that were critical for the governor to address, under social distancing, classrooms in this manner with 50% fewer students can be spaced 6 feet in diameter from one student and follows the American Association of Pediatric recommendations. In the common areas, students can maintain a 6-foot social distancing. In the hallways, will continue a single flow traffic pattern utilizing adjusted transition times between bells. With transportation, if we operate at 50% capacity with students being assigned seats and siblings sitting together, we'll be able to accomplish that, but all students still will be required to wear a mask. In the cafeteria, we'll be operating at 50% capacity as well, serving all students in the cafeteria or classroom. Again, school schedule, students will be assigned to school 2 days per week. A preference would be given in this hybrid model to family members who have students in multiple buildings, whether it be elementary, middle, or high school. They would be assigned to school on the same day. A modified schedule may be implemented to limit transitions. Again, elementary recesses will be staggered to limit the number of students on the playground. The mask and face covering sections of this hybrid model remain basically the same as the traditional model. All staff will be required to wear a mask or face covering unless they can maintain a 6 foot of social distancing. Students in grades K through 5, while we recommend face coverings and masks, they will not be required. Students in grades 6 through 12, mask and face coverings will be required when students cannot maintain that social distancing of 6 feet or greater. When sitting at desk, masks may be removed. They'll be required when entering and exiting the building. They will also be required during class transitions in grades 6 through 12. Transportation will again be the same as the traditional green model, with students being required to wear a mask or face covering during the duration of the trip. You'll notice under health and safety and cleaning and sanitizing, this criteria remains consistent with the green model as well. And then we finally have the red model. That is the remote model. It's the model that we ended the school year on. It's where remote learning is provided by Mount Vernon City School District teachers to students working from home through online classes utilizing digital technologies. It does provide some academic flexibility where all students will have access to Mount Vernon City School District technological devices. We're currently working on devices for our K-1 students as well. We will provide internet hotspots should we need to go into the red learning mode. They'll be located throughout the district in school buildings and parking lots. Students will utilize Google Classroom and other relative digital content. We heard from you through our thought exchange that having multiple learning management platforms was confusing and frustrating for students and parents. And so we opted to use Google Classroom throughout the district, and we have kind of stepped away from Schoology and some of those other platforms. Teachers will utilize instructional videos and regular online meetings with students. Another thing you shared in the thought exchange was the importance of having regular online meetings via Zoom or Google Meets with between students and teachers. And we want to make that a priority should we have to go into the red learning mode. Teachers will hold regular office hours daily. And we also want to implement a 24-hour return communication plan for all Mount Vernon City School District staff members to students and parents. This is really important, and it's another thing that came out of our thought exchange, that timely communication between parents, students, and teachers is really, really important, and we want to try to make that turnaround within a 24-hour period of time. Due to a variety of circumstances, we may find ourselves needing to engage in this remote learning mode periodically throughout the year. What does that mean? If we're in a green learning mode with all students coming to school, and we might find specific classrooms or specific buildings that have been impacted by this COVID-19, we might have to shut those classrooms or buildings down for short periods of time. Those students would have to go to this remote learning mode before being able to return to school in a green or yellow hybrid mode. And finally, the option we shared at the beginning of this presentation. Again, we understand that there will be parents, that there will be students who, until a vaccine has been created, will be a bit more reluctant to send their students to school. We certainly understand and respect that. So the Mount Vernon Digital Academy has been created, grades K through 12. It is a complete online K-12 virtual curriculum facilitated by Mount Vernon City School District teachers as best we can, utilizing district-approved online curriculum. This interactive curriculum provides a personalized learning approach where students will work from home daily at their own pace at a time that's convenient for them and their families. The district is currently in final evaluation of 2 highly regarded online programs, and we'll make a final decision in the coming weeks. Those programs are K-12 and Edgenuity. Parents who may choose to enroll in the Mount Vernon Digital Academy will be asked to enroll by August 1st so that it will assist us in additional planning within the traditional classroom setting. We will be providing additional information in the coming week with enrollment instructions and as to the choice of our digital platform. And as we get to some of our final slides of this presentation, it's really important for you to understand that we need academic flexibility. Working closely with state and local health officials, we must be able to be flexible with the ability to move from green to yellow or even red when local conditions warrant. All of the guidance that we have been given in our meetings on Tuesday and our current reopening plan have been really based on Knox County and where we're at in Knox County. Thankfully, we're at a level 1, which is the lowest leveled rating on the governor's new public health advisory system. Provided we can stay at level 1, the district can remain in a learning environment that best meets the needs of our community and our families. But if Knox County advisory levels should rise to levels 2, 3, or even 4, we may find it necessary to modify our current plans. I can't give you specifics on when and how and specifically how that'll be done, but I can share with you that it will be done in a collaborative approach with the Knox County Health Department guidance. So with all of that being said, we met with our Board of Education this past Wednesday evening. this plan was shared with the Board of Education. We had some wonderful conversation, lots of great questions. The board realizes there is no one perfect solution or one perfect answer to how we start school, but we're just doing our very best in a very difficult situation and hope you provide us the patience as we move through that. We have decided that based on current information and collaboration, it is the Restart Committee's recommendation as well as the Board of Education to begin the year green, returning to school in a traditional learning mode with all students returning and with safety precautions and modifications in place. So we've made this decision to go green, to get all of our kids back to school. We feel this is the best option. Our kids coming back to school is incredibly important to us, and I know it is to you and your families. That we've heard from so many of the challenges of kids being home when parents want to work. We've got to start working on the details now. There's lots of things we've got to fill in. Over the course of the coming weeks, we'll continue to keep you informed as to our progress, and we can't wait to see your kids back to school here in the fall. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your summer. Please be safe and take care of each other. Thank you.